HMS Vanoc was a British V-class destroyer, launched in 1917. Construction. In mid-1916, the British Admiralty placed orders for 23 destroyers based on the 5 V-class leaders that had been ordered earlier that year. 2 of these ships, Vanoc and Vanquisher, were ordered from the Clydebank shipyard, John Brown and Amp Company, in June that year. The Vanoc was 312 feet long overall, with a beam of 29 feet 6 inches and a draft of between 10 feet 8 inches and 11 feet 7.5 inches depending on load. Displacement was 1,090 long tons standard and up to 1,490 long tons under full load. 3 oil-fed Jarrow boilers raising steam at 250 pounds per square inch fed Brown Curtis geared steam turbines which developed 27,000 shaft horsepower, driving 2 screws for a maximum design speed of 34 knots. Vanoc reached an average speed of 32.083 knots during sea trials on 10 August 1917, with her engines generating 28,136 shaft horsepower and deep load displacement about 1,430 long tons. The ship carried 368 long tons of oil, giving a range of 3,500 nautical miles at 15 knots. Vanoc's main gun armament consisted of 4 4-inch MKV-QF guns in 4 single mounts on the ship's centerline. These were disposed as 2 forward and 2 aft in superimposed firing positions. A single QF 3-inch 20 hundredweight anti-aircraft gun was mounted aft of the second funnel. After the 3-inch gun, she carried 4 21-inch torpedo tubes mounted in pairs on the centerline. It was decided in January 1917 to modify Vanoc as a mine layer. As such, the aft set of torpedo tubes and 1 4-inch gun could be removed to accommodate up to 66 mines, although the rated capacity was 44. The ship could be converted back to a fleet destroyer with full armament in about 12 hours. The Vanoc was laid down at John Brown and Amp Company's Clydebank shipyard on 20 September 1916 and was launched on 14 June 1917. She was commissioned on 15 August 1917 with the pennant number H33. The vessel's name is that of an Arthurian knight in Sir Walter of Scott's The Bridal of Triamain. Modifications. Between the wars, modifications to the V-class destroyers were relatively limited, with the twin torpedo mounts generally being replaced by triple mounts as in the W-class. As a mine layer, only the forward bank of tubes was replaced, giving Vanoc a 5-torpedo tube outfin, while the 3-inch gun was replaced by a 2-pounder pom-pom. After the Norwegian campaign, it was decided to strengthen the anti-aircraft armament of Royal Navy destroyers, with the V-class being modified by removing the aft bank of torpedo tubes and replacing it by a single 12-pounder anti-aircraft gun, with Vanoc modified by October 1940. Other early modifications included the removal of 1 4-inch gun to allow the carrying on a heavy depth charge battery, with 50 charges carried, with the ship fitted to allow 10 charge patins to be laid, while Type 286M radar was fitted in early 1941. A major problem with the use of destroyers for escort work in the North Atlantic was the lack of endurance, and Vanoc was converted to a long-range escort at Thornycroft's Southampton shipyard between April and November 1943. The long-range escort conversion involved removal of 1 boiler, to allow fitting of additional oil bunkers and extra accommodation to help solve the chronic overcrowding problem that had only got worse as crews had increased as the war progressed. While power dropped to 18,000 shaft horsepower, cutting speed to 24.5 knots, the ship's range increased by as much as 600 nautical miles. One 4-inch gun was removed to accommodate a Hedgehog ahead-throwing anti-submarine projector, while the remaining set of torpedo tubes and the 12-pounder gun was removed to allow the ship's depth-charge armament to be increased again to as many as 150 charges. Radar was changed to a Type 271 surface search radar mounted on the ship's bridge, with Type 291 air search radar on the mainmast. Service. First World War. Following commissioning, Vanoc joined the 13th Destroyer Flotilla, attached to the Grand Fleet. In October 1917, Vanoc was part of a large-scale operation, involving 30 cruisers and 54 destroyers deployed in 8 groups across the North Sea in an attempt to stop a suspected sortie by German naval forces. Despite these countermeasures, the 2 German light cruisers Bremse and Brummer managed to evade the patrols and attacked the regular convoy between Norway and Britain, sinking 9 merchant ships and 2 destroyers, Mary Rose and Strongbow, before returning safely to Germany. The Vanoc remained with the 13th Destroyer Flotilla, which formed part of the battle cruiser force of the Grand Fleet, until June 1918, when she joined the 20th Destroyer Flotilla. The 20th Flotilla was a specialized minelaying flotilla based at Immingham on the Humber, which laid up to 20,000 mines during 1918, as well as carrying out its share of convoy escort and patrol duties, while Vanoc herself laid 965 mines during the First World War. Between the wars, the 20th Flotilla was deployed to the Baltic as part of the British intervention in the Russian Civil War, including Vanoc, which was off Riga in October 1919 when British and French naval gunfire helped the Latvian army to drive off an attack by the pro-German West Russian Volunteer Army, which was attempting to set up a German-dominated puppet state. Vanoc was attached to the 2nd Destroyer Flotilla in November 1919, but was reduced to reserve at Devonport on the 5th of February 1920. On the 29th of June 1927, Vanoc, together with Wrestler, Tilbury and Toreador, escorted the battle cruiser HMS Renown, carrying the Duke and Duchess of York into Portsmouth at the end of the royal couple's tour of the Commonwealth. Vanoc was part of the British Mediterranean Fleet during the Spanish Civil War. Activities during Britain's attempt to enforce non-intervention included ferrying an inspection team to Spanish Morocco in January 1937 to investigate German activities. In June 1938, Vanoc was sent to Alicante in response to nationalist air attacks on British shipping, while on the 30th of December 1938, after the Republican destroyer José Luis Diaz ran aground at Catalan Bay following an engagement with nationalist warships, the Vanoc patrolled to prevent the nationalists attacking while José Luis Diaz was towed into Gibraltar to be interned. 1940, Vanoc accompanied HMS Scarborough in February 1940 on her first Atlantic escort duties after Scarborough's refit. On the 29th of April 1940, she deployed with the destroyers HMS Echo, Fire Drake, Havelock and Arrow to evacuate troops from Mo and Bodo. The troops were taken to Harstad in preparation for the final evacuation from Norway. She accompanied Crowbury into Namsos in Norway just before sunrise on April 17, 1940. In June 1940, Vanoc took part in Operation Ariel, the evacuation of of British and Allied troops from ports in western France, escorting a convoy of 10 ships from Saint-Nazaire on 18 June. In early March 1941, Vanoc was assigned to the 5th Escort Group, and on 15 March the group joined convoy HX-112 as escort. On the night of 15-16 March, the German submarine U-110, commanded by Fritz Julius Lemp, sighted the convoy, and made a surface attack, torpedoing the tanker Erdner, which did not sink. The destroyer Scimitar spotted U-110 and summoned Vanoc and Walker. Together, the 3 destroyers attacked U-110 with depth charges, and Vanoc and Scimitar were assigned to keeping the submarine submerged while the convoy sailed away. Despite this, Lemp evaded the destroyers and re-sighted the convoy later that night, sending location signals that helped to direct more U-boats against the convoy. At about 10 p.m. on the night of 16-17 March, U-99 under the command of the U-boat Ace Otto Kretschmer infiltrated the convoy, fired U-99's remaining 8 torpedoes, hitting 6 merchant ships and sinking 5 of them. At 1:30, Walker's sonar detected a submarine, and after an initial attack by Walker and Vanoc, Walker left to rescue survivors from U-99's attack, leaving Vanoc to continue the attack. The depth charges caused serious flooding aboard the German submarine U-100 under the command of Joachim Schepke, and Schepke, fearing the submarine would sink, and hoping that he could torpedo the British destroyer, ordered U-100 to the surface. Vanoc spotted U-100 on the recently fitted but primitive Type 286M radar, the first confirmed British surface ship radar sighting of a U-boat, and rammed the German submarine, sinking U-100. Only 6 of U-100's crew, not including Schepke, survived. Shortly afterwards, U-99, which was trying to slip out of the convoy on the surface, spotted Walker and dived. Walker picked up U-99 on her sonar and attacked with depth charges, forcing the submarine to the surface. Vanoc spotted the surfaced U-99, and both destroyers opened fire on the stricken U-boat, which was scuttled by her crew as they abandoned ship. Commanded by Lt. CDR James Godfrey Wood Dennis from the 9th of February 1939 to the 15th of December 1941. http arbot.net/allies/commanders/714.html. From March 1942 she joined the escort Group B5 team of destroyers HMS Havelock, Caldwell, Walker, frigates Whale, and corvettes Pimpernel, Godetia, Saxifrage, Buttercup and Lavender. Escort Group B5 was reassigned to Caribbean trade convoys from March 1942, and returned to the Mid-Ocean Escort Force a year later to escort convoy SC-122. On 16 March 1944 in the Straits of Gibraltar at position 35.917 degrees north, 5.683 degrees west, 35.917 minus 5.683, she cooperated with the frigate HMS Vanoc and 33 U.S. Catalina aircraft to sink the submarine U-392 with a Hedgehog attack, resulting in 52 dead from U-392's crew. On 21 January 1945 Vanoc collided with, and sank, the naval trawler HMS Computator off Normandy.